See this picture. You can see a rectangle shaped. There is a dots are arranged in rows and columns to make a rectangle. With how many dots are here totally? Just you count it. You will get 24 dots. Then do you count the dots one by one, or how many rows and how many columns you identify, and if you multiply rows and columns you will get this one. So here there should be 4 rows and 6 columns. So 4 into 6, how many dots totally? 24. So without counting you can count the number of rows and number of columns. If you multiply it, you will get the total number of dots. So these dots are arranged in a rectangle. Then if you rearrange these dots, the total number should be 24 always. But if you rearrange like this, 8 rows and 3 columns, you will get the same 24. That also a rectangle. Then 3 rows and 8 columns, you will get 24 dots. That also the shape of a rectangle. Then if it is 12 rows and 2 columns, you will get the same number of dots. Or 2 rows and 12 columns, you will get the same number of rows, and the shape should be always a rectangle. Can you make this into a square? How will you make into square? If you arrange 5 dots in rows and columns, you will get a square. Then if you rearrange once more, 4 rows and 4 columns, that also we will get a square. Then 3 rows and 3 columns, you will get a square again. If you arrange 2 rows and 2 columns, that also you will get a square. So for making a square, you should get equal number of rows and equal number of columns. Then only you will get a perfect square. So number of rows and number of columns should be equal. Then only you will get a square. Can you arrange this 36 as a product of two numbers? 36 we can write as 2 into 18, 3 into 12, 4 into 9, 5 it is not possible, 6 into 6. So 36 we can get by different products. 2 into 18, 36, 3 into 12 is 36, 4 into 9 is 36, 6 into 6 is 36. So as in the previous time, these 3 cases we are getting a rectangle. So 2 rows and 18 columns like this. But in this case, number of rows and number of columns are same. So here we are getting a perfect square. Okay, so if we arrange 6 dots and 6 columns, we will get a square. But other 3 cases we are getting a rectangle. Then see here. So 36 we can write as 6 into 6. This we can write as 6 raised to 2. That is 6 multiplied 6 by itself. So we can write the second power of 6 as 36. It is 6 square is 36. So second power of 6 is 36. What about the square of 5? 5 into 5. You will get 5 square. What is 5 square? It is 25. What about the square of 5? 5 into 5. You will get 5 square. What is 5 square? It is 25. So the same numbers should be multiplied. You will get the second power. So 5 square is 25. What about 1 by 2 into 1 by 2? It is 1 by 2 square. So we can write 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4. We will get 1 by 4. So square of 6 is how much? 36. Or you can write in reverse. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 36 is 6. That should be written like this. Root 36 is equal to square root of 36. The answer we are getting 6. That is the reverse of this one. 6 square is 36. Square root of 36 is 6. Same like 5 square. 5 square is 25. Or root 25 is equal to 5. Square root of 25 is 5. So it is the second power of 6. Second power of 5, it is 25. So 6 square is 36. It is a square. Then square root of 36 is 6. That is the square root. Remember this one. 6 is the square root of 36. But 36 is the square of 6. Square and square roots. Reverse of this is square root. Square root of 2. Sorry, square of 2. It is 4. Square of 3. It is 3 square, not 3 cube. 3 square is 9. 4 square is 16. 5 square is 25. 5 square means 5 into 5. 4 square means 4 into 4. 3 square means 3 into 3. 2 square means 2 into 2. So, on 1 square, it is 1 itself. So, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, etc. are squares of natural numbers. Square of 1 is 1. Square of 2 is 4. Square of 3 is 9. Square of 4 is 16. Square of 5 is 25. And square of 6 is 36. So these are called perfect squares. It is a product. The product you are getting a perfect square. So 2 into 2, 4. 3 into 3, 9. 4 into 4, 16. Then what are the numbers in between? If 20 is a perfect square. No. If we take the square root, we cannot get a perfect number. So that is not a perfect square. But 25, that is a perfect square. If we take the square root, we are getting a perfect square root. Okay. So 5 square is 25. 5 into 5 is 25. But 20 we cannot take as a perfect square. To reach 4 from 1, how much is added? 3 is added. Or 4 minus 1 is 3. Then from to reach 9, how much is added? 5 is added. So 4 plus 5 is 9. To reach 16, how much is added? 7 is added. To reach 25, how much is added? 9 is added. So we can write like this. 4 minus 1, it is 3. 9 minus 4, it is 5. Next perfect square is 16. 16 minus 9, it is 7. Next perfect square 25. 25 minus 16, it is 9. So all these differences, we are getting an odd number. So the difference of two consecutive perfect squares is an odd number. Square of, so the difference of two consecutive perfect squares is an odd number. 1 square is 1 itself. 4 is the square of 2. So 1 and 2. If you take the difference of squares, you will get 3. That is an odd number. 2 square is 4. 3 square is 9. 9 minus 4, we are getting 5. That is an odd number. 4 square is 16. 3 square is 9. 16 minus 9, sorry, 4 square minus 3 square is 7. That also getting an odd number. So the difference of two consecutive perfect squares, okay, is an odd number. So when we add consecutive odd numbers starting from 1, we get perfect squares. 1 plus 3, it is 4. 1 plus 3 plus 5, how much you are getting? 9. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7, you are getting 16. The next number is 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9, how much you are getting? 25. Then 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 11, you are getting 36. So this is the square of 5. This is the square of 6. So if we add consecutive odd numbers starting from 1, we get the perfect squares. It is represented in the pictures. See here, 1 plus 3, we are getting a perfect square of 4. Then 1 plus 3 plus 5, we are getting 9 dots. Okay, that is square of 3. Here it is square of 2. Now a small work. Write down the squares of natural numbers up to 20 like this by adding odd numbers. So 1, it is 1 square. 1 plus 3, you are getting 4. That 4 is on, that is 2 square. Next, 1 plus 3 plus 5, that is 1 plus 3, it is 4. 4 plus 5, it is 9. So that is the square of 3. Then 4 plus 5, it is 9. 9 plus next odd number 7. So 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5 plus 7, it is 16, which is the next pattern. 5 square is equal to, this is 16 plus next odd number is 9. So you are getting 25. 5 square is 25. Next one, 6 square is equal to 25 plus the next odd number is 11. So you are getting 36. 6 square is 36. Next is 7 square. 36 plus next odd number 13. You are getting 49. So 7 square is 49. Next 8 square. 49 plus next odd number 15. You are getting 64. 8 square is 64. Like this, you have to fill up to 20. Find out the square of 20 numbers. Next, what is the square of 10? 10 into 10 is how much you are getting? 10 square is how much? 100. So 1 after 2 zeros. What about the square of 100? 100 into 100 is equal to 100 square. Square is written like this as a superscript. So that is 1 after, here 2 zeros, here also 2 zeros. So 4 zeros totally. So here 2 zeros. 10 square is 100. 100 square is 10,000. What about the square of 1000? How many zeros here? Here 3 and here also 3. So in 1000 square, how many zeros will come? 6 zeros should be there. 1 after 6 zeros. So the square of 10 having how many zeros? 2 zeros. Square of 100 having 4 zeros. 1000 having 6 zeros. Then take the reverse. Square root. Square root of 100. How many zeros? Only 1. Square root of 10,000. How many zeros? 2 zeros. Here 2 zeros are there in square root, but the answer should be the root of 100 is 10. Root of 10,000 is 100. What about root of 1 after 6 zeros? So the answer is getting 1000. This is the square root. This is the squares. Squares and square root. Reverse. So once it become a square, number of zeros should be doubled. Here 1 0, you are getting 2 zeros in the answer. Here you have 4 zeros here. Okay, double of this 4 zeros, double of this 6 zeros. Then in square root it is reverse. So if it is 2 zeros here, in answer there should be only 1 square root. If you are taking only half of that. So 2 zeros here, here only 1. 4 zeros, it is 2. 6 zeros, it will become 3. So in squares it should be doubled, and in square roots it will become half. Number of zeros are half in the square root, number of zeros are double in the squares. So the number of zeros are even numbers. Here it is 2 zeros, so here it is 4 zeros, here it is 6 zeros. So the number of zeros are even numbers. We can say that numbers are perfect squares. If it is an odd number, it is an odd number, that is not a perfect square. But if you add one more zero, it will become a perfect square. So by the number of zeros you can find out the number is a perfect square or not. If it is the number of zeros are odd numbers, here 1 2 3, so 3 zeros will be there, so that is not a perfect square. But if it is 2 zeros, that is a perfect square. So the number of zeros become even. You can say it is a perfect square. If the number of zeros are not even, it is odd number, 1 2 3 4 5, 5 zeros are there, so that is not a perfect square. 1 lakh is a perfect square or not? In 1 lakh, how many zeros? 5 zeros are there. So 5 0 means it is an odd number. So if it is odd number, that is not a perfect square. Then what about 6 zeros? 6 zeros are there. So you are getting the number of zeros are even. So that is a perfect square. It is the square of 1000. But in 1 lakh only the number of zeros are not even, that is odd number. In 10 lakh, how many zeros? 6 zeros. So that is an even number of zeros, that is why it is a perfect square. It is called a million. Million is a perfect square. 10 lakh. Square of 20. 20 into 20. So 2 into 2, 4. How many zeros? 2 zeros. Then 200 into 200. 2 into 2, 4. Here 2 zeros, here also 2. So it will become double. Okay. So it is the square of 200. Then what about 2000? Is equal to 2 into 2, 4. Then 3 zeros. It should be double. We will get 6 zeros. So these are the squares of 20, 200 and 2000. Everywhere we are getting an even number of zeros if it is a perfect square. Check this number. Is it a perfect square? You have to count the number of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the number of zeros are 8. That is an even number. So the number of zeros are even. We can say it is a perfect square. If we put one more zero, is a perfect square? No, because the number of zeros are odd. If the number of zeros are odd, it is not a perfect square. Next, square of 30. So 30 into 30. 3 into 3, 9. Zeros should be doubled. Then what about 400? 400 into 400. 4 into 4, 16. Here, how many zeros? 4 zeros. Then 7,000 into 7,000. So the square of 7,000 is 7 into 7, 49. Then how many zeros? 6 zeros. How will you find out the square of this number? 6 into 10 raised to 25 into 6 into 10 raised to 25. Square of 6 into 10 raised to 25. 6 into 6, it is written together. Then the powers are written together. 10 raised to 25 into 10 raised to 25. 6 into 6, how much? 36 into 10 raised to 25 into 10 raised to 25. How will you find out that? A raised to m into a raised to n is equal to a raised to m plus n. This we studied in the previous lessons. So 10 raised to 25 into 10 raised to 25 with the same base, different powers. What is the answer? 10 raised to 25 plus 25. We are getting 10 raised to 50, not 25. It is 10 raised to 50. 10 raised to 25 into 10 raised to 25. 10 raised to 25 plus 25. A raised to m plus n. So 36 into 10 raised to 50. That is the square of 6 into 10 raised to 6 into 10 raised to 25 whole square. The squares should be 36 into 10 raised to 50. Square of 5 into 10 raised to 7. It is into 10 raised to 7. So 5 into 5 into 10 raised to 7 into 10 raised to 7. 5 into 5, 25 into 10 raised to 7 plus 7. So it is 25 into 10 raised to 14. So 5 into 10 raised to 7 whole square is how much? 25 into 10 raised to 14. So 5 into 5, 25, 10 raised to 7 to 10 raised to 7, 7 raised to 14. Find out the squares of these numbers. 50, 60, 200, 300, 8000, 2 into 10 raised to 12. See once again 50. How will you find out the square? 50 into 50. 50 square you have to find out. So 50 into 50. 5 into 5, 25. 2 zeros should be doubled. So the answer you are getting 2500. Like that, other things you have to find out. So remember this one. If there is only 1 0 here in squares, you will get double. That is 2 zeros you can see. Find out the perfect squares. First one, 2500 is a perfect square. It is a perfect square because the number of zeros are even. Number of zeros are even numbers. So it is a perfect square. What about 3036 after 3 zeros? Is it a perfect square? No, because the number of zeros are not even. It is odd number. So 36 is a square, but the number of zeros is not a square of. Number of zeros are not even. These are odd numbers. The number of zeros are odd. That's why it is not a perfect square. So please write like this. Number of zeros are odd numbers. So it is not a perfect square. But here the number of zeros are even. So it is a perfect square. 1500. Is it a perfect square? It is not a perfect square. Why? Here the number of zeros are even. Number of zeros are even. But 15 is not a perfect square. Okay, if it is 16, it is a perfect square. But it is not a, then 15 is not a perfect square. So this is also not a perfect square. 9 into 10 raised to 7. Is it is a perfect square? 9 is a perfect square. But the number of zeros are not even. So that is not a perfect square. 9 having square root, it is 3. But 10 raised to 7. 7 means 1 after 7 zeros. So if it's an odd number, the number of zeros are odd, it is not a perfect square. 16 into 10 raised to 24. It is a perfect square because 16 having square root 4. Then 10 raised to 24. 24 is the even number. So number of zeros are even. So that is a perfect square. So the answer you are getting 4 into 10 raised to 12 whole square is equal to 16 into 10 raised to 24. So do it as homework. Find out these numbers are perfect square or not. So remember, the number of zeros should be even. We can say a possibility of a perfect square, but you have to find the numbers also. The numbers should be also a perfect square. Then only the total number should be a perfect square. Here the number of zeros are even. 36. You will get a square of 6. So that is a perfect square. Here it is 2 zeros. But what about here 17? 17 is not a perfect square. So this is not a perfect number. And here the powers 9 into 10 raised to 5. Here it is odd number. So it is not a perfect square. But the 3 square is 9. But the number of zeros are odd, that is why it is not a perfect square. So like this, you write your own numbers and find out it is a perfect square or not.